morning, YouTube world. This is COM 103, and today we're going to have this is part two. We had 9 wonderful speeches on part one, and so we have 9 folks today. They're going to do what's called a tribute speech, which is a part of a special occasion speech. So we have a nice list for you guys today, and hope you enjoy it. And our first speaker is going to be Fritz.
Hello. Mic test. So, hi everyone. So, my name is Fritz, and for those who don't know me, my name is Fritz. Yeah, and uh, I am going to pay tribute to the place that I was born. That is this. You probably know this already from my previous speech. That is Cebu, on the central region of the Philippines. So, this is the city view of Cebu, and that's only part of it. And the thing that I miss about Cebu is the spontaneous outings. So we go. So one thing, you're just sitting on your couch watching tabloid television shows. Then your friends decided, hey Fritz, let's go on an island hopping. So island hopping is when you go from one island to another and just have fun. And so this is you ride on a boat, and since there's a lot of many islands around Cebu, you can do this uh, activity very well. And so I think there's around 20 islands around Cebu. So that is the Malapascua Island. And I'm going to show you a picture of one of our island hopping trip. No, not that. There, that's me showing some skin. And so that's me, and this is my friend Mario, and that is my other friend Shakil, and so that actually is my pre-workout body. This is me after 60 days of P90X. so, so the one thing that I really love about Cebu is when we go with both of my friends, Mario and Shaq, to Fuente Osmeña and bike around the city in 12 midnight. And so, so, uh, so there was one time when we're biking on an alley with dozen of dogs, and not just regular cute dogs, rabid dogs, little rabid dogs. So as we were biking, the three of us were biking around the Penteos Mania. Then my friend decided to be a good friend and decided to provoke the dogs. Then 12 of the dogs decided to chase us. Then I didn't even have the time to react. So I was the one dog was really close behind me, like around 2 inches behind me. So imagine my face crying and laughing at the same time. So that's a skill I should put on my resume someday. So Cebu, and so in Cebu, I learned to take pleasure in simple things, and to this is also the place when where friends became part of my family, and this is also the place where I developed and discovered who I want to be, and so it's not really much of a place since there's a lot of poverty around. People are children don't have much of an education, and most of them even pick up trashes just to sustain their family, and it's not much, but it is home. Thank you.
Am I doing something wrong to get my PowerPoint? It's just not coming up. Okay, well, it's just blank. Yeah, and it's just blank. I didn't know if I could do anything. No? Okay. Which one? Oh. Oh, the paper clip. Okay. Wait. Yeah. No worries. No. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. No. Okay. Okay. Well, Okay, today I'm going to talk about my boyfriend. And I'm not a sappy person. I don't usually talk about him like this at all. But I just feel like I want to pay tribute to him because I don't talk about him that much. So this first picture is the first day we ever met in 8th grade. And a couple weeks later, on November 7th, 2010, he asked me out over Facebook messaging, which is very romantic, as all the girls in here know. So we've been together for 5.5 years since we were in 8th grade. We were like 13 years old. And I thought that this relationship was going to last like 2 weeks maybe. Like I wasn't that interested in him, but I mean, we've been together for 5 years now. So before I met him, I was kind of like the worst person ever. I was worried about like being friends with everyone and being cool and looking good and whatever, as an 8th grade girl would do. But after I met him, things kind of changed, and he kind of got me interested in a lot of other things that I was never interested in, that took away that like wanting to be like a cool person. So he kind of got me into this like nerdy type of stuff, and like so we watched Doctor Who, and we went to Comic-Con together and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not on his level of League of Legends and Dungeons and Dragons, but I've definitely changed. I always thought I'd just be into like MTV and reality TV shows, and that's not the case anymore. Um, so we've been together for a long time. There's like all these transformations, and he's also changed my taste in music. He's like into everything, and like maybe you can't tell by looking at me, but like now after meeting him, I'm like really into rap. Like we went to concerts together, and my favorite rapper, Chance the Rapper's dropping an album today, hopefully, and like, yeah, I never thought I'd be into that, but because of him, I've changed and become open to all these new things that I never thought I'd be into. Actually, going back to this one, I would have never gone to London and Dublin, ever, but he went with me, and it was okay, and we had a lot of fun, but I never would have been that independent without him. So like, even though I have this boyfriend that's like, another person, I've become more independent because of him, and it's really great. So there's the homecoming, and then prom. We've been through everything together, especially in high school. A lot of things change in high school, but I just think it's really great that we're still together and we made it through all of those things. And I don't think I would have been able to do it without someone like him. And that's crazy. I love this. It's 8th grade and high school graduation. I love this so much. So then here's today. Right now he's in college, 2.5 hours away, and I go to visit him a lot, but I'm just like so amazed that we're still together through all of this, even through college, and nothing has changed, but at the same time everything has changed. And that's it, okay. So one of the things I would really like to mention about him that I've like recently recognized is that, and this may seem weird, but it's like amazing to me, especially with how people are today. He has never been someone who's like sexist or racist or homophobic or anything like that. And I think that's like a really hard quality to find in especially a teenage boy or a young boy today. And I just really wanted to mention that because I love that about him now that I've realized that. I guess what I want to say is he is such an important person in my life. He's done so much for me, made me more independent, and we're not married, but sometimes it feels like we definitely are because we've just created this bond over the past almost 6 years. And if it wasn't, I would marry, okay, sorry, I'm messing up here. I would marry him today if I wasn't trying to reach my career goals. Like, I promise that the second that I'm done with all of that and I feel comfortable with myself in my career, I will marry him. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's just the relationship that we have. So that's all. Thank you.
All right. Hello, YouTube world. Right, Jones? You're going to have to forgive me. I've been a little under the weather lately. But that said, when I was a young boy, there was a family tradition that we practiced every year, and we just don't practice it anymore. Now, every year come Christmas time, the entire extended family would take turns meeting at one house and for a Christmas celebration. There were drinks, laughter, but most importantly, memories. In fact, one of my fondest memories from these events was that regardless of whose house it was at or what we were having for dinner, every time my grandmother would politely interrupt our meal, stand up, and speak. She would speak of the hardships and the triumphs of the year that was coming to a close, reflect on the events of years past, and turn her eyes to the future of years to come. She was paying tribute to our family, our health, and our perseverance to tackle any challenges that might prevent us meeting again that next year. Now, I explicitly remember myself sitting there feeling charged up and excited. The words that she spoke were formed impromptu, yet rich, thoughtful, and well-versed. Never before had the power of words been so clear, so influential, or so moving. It was motivational, uniting, and absolutely empowering. Now, since then, my grandma has formed a moderate case of dementia, and we don't hold these Christmas celebrations anymore. Why? I don't know. But what I do know is that despite her condition, her words still resonate with me today. And for that reason, I'd like to pay tribute. Not to my grandmother, but to tribute speeches. Beyond this class, I've had the opportunity to deliver a few speeches before. However, I've only given one other tribute speech. The day my grandpa died, I was asked if I would share a few words at the funeral. I agreed and had spent the entire night forming what would be my first ever tribute speech. Now, I remember emotionally moving people, bringing our family and friends in the room to tears as I reflected on the life my grandpa had lived, his influence he had on me, and how he would live on in our memories forever. Now, it was at that moment I was standing there that I realized the potential each and every person has to pay tribute to those who are important to them. Now, in this class, we've all practiced and performed informative speeches and persuasive speeches, and I don't want to undermine that, but it's my opinion that the most important informative or persuasive speech is not even close to as influential as the least important tribute speech. And the reason I say that is because, well, a tribute speech is meant to honor, to express gratitude, to allow others to make the same emotional connections with people, places, and things that we do. And we've all witnessed them, be it at weddings or funerals, anniversary parties, or even award ceremonies. To be honored by a tribute speech is one of the greatest feelings another person can bestow on you. And knowing that you can give that feeling to others provides us with potential otherwise unimaginable. Now, while the semester is coming quickly to a close, I want each and every one of you to realize that I've had a blast, truly. I couldn't imagine a better class or a better professor to teach this class. That said, it warms my heart that we're all walking away from this class together with at least one thing in common: the knowledge of how to formulate and deliver a tribute speech. Because when the day comes that you're on the other end of that tribute, you're going to be able to appreciate that moment so much more and for years to come. Now, I know that in my case, the words my grandmother shared with us will live on at least as long as I do. And we've all been granted the same power that my grandma had every year she delivered her speeches. It's up to us to utilize tribute speeches for the next generation of speakers out there. And I have full confidence that that power is in the right hands. Thank you.
used it in a while. Okay. I was there from when he was first born to when he first said his first words to when he took his first step. I'm not talking about my kid, although I feel like a mother to him. I'm talking about my little mischievous nephew who loves putting a grin on everyone's face. He was a preemie baby that put us all through a little scare at the beginning, but thankfully everything turned out all right. Now he's a little playful 2-year-old that loves to wake me up first thing in the morning by going down the hallway and directly to my door and banging on the door and saying, "Gigi, Gigi, are you sleeping?" before he even wakes up his parents. Although I'd feel irritated for being interrupted from a precious 10 more minutes of sleep, I can't help but smile at his grinning face when I open the door. During the summer, I babysat him while his parents were at work, so I got to being pretty close to him. In fact, at one point, whenever I used to hold him, he refused to go to anyone else, even his own mother, because he wanted to stay with me. We used to go for walks with him in the stroller, and I'd feel like a proud mom whenever he would point at something and name whatever it was, or when I would teach him the name of something and he'd tell me the name right back to me. Now, like any little toddler, his brain is like a sponge. Whenever he hears something, he parrots it back to you, whether you mean to or not. Most often not. One phrase that he has picked up is no sir, and no boy. If you ask him a question, his usual response would be yeah boy or no sir. One of his more hilarious phrases is shots fired, and ironically, he actually knows in the right context to use it. For a little kid, he's pretty intuitive. If he sees that you're feeling down or having a rough day, he'd ask you happy? Or he'd give you a hug. You can't help but feel better. So that's why I wanted to give this tribute to little Isa for giving me happy memories and helping me to experience the world from a different perspective and to just help me put a smile on my face when I don't feel like smiling so much. And that's him when he knocked out after playing so hard. I think that's it.
Really? Like right when I come up here, you laugh. Okay. Can this not go higher? Okay. Well, everybody knows me, but I'm Ola. Today I wanted to talk about something that I've used my escape. Something that has been influencing me my entire 19 years and counting of being here. It's there for me at any time, any place, around the corner, or a million miles away, around the globe. Something that unraveled the world right before my eyes. Traveling. Now, I've been traveling ever since I was in the womb. That sounds really weird, but my mom was pregnant with me and she would go on all these trips, these road trips to different places in the US. Growing up, my parents would drag me on road trips. And at first, I absolutely hated the 20-hour drives where I got car sick because I was young. And my mom insisted on stopping at every single church that we saw just to look at the architecture. As years went by, however, I realized that, yeah, they all looked similar, but every church had a different essence, a different feel that mirrored the town that it was in. A different subculture, a different dialect that made it unique. Once I saw the variations of one country, I felt a yearning to go explore different countries. And as I started fleeing overseas, I discovered so much more. The vibrant culture,
the people, the colorful attire, the native animals, the loud music, the parades, the natural wonders, and the food. Even the air is different, which also sounds weird, but it's true. Everything is so foreign, so unlike our daily endeavors, that it just makes every trip so much more fascinating. I like to think that when traveling, you can't just dip your feet in the water. You have to go for the full swim. And by that, I mean integrating yourself in the culture and the people. Where I would stay, I would usually stay weeks and weeks at a time, and not in any hotel or resort. I would go to the small villages, you know, the rundown places with no running water. And when I saw this, when I actually spent time with the people, I realized how diverse the world really is. But by doing that, I also realized how similar everybody is as well. Many people would make an effort to talk and compare our way of lives. There was always a mutual kind of interest of different cultures, of different people, where you're from, why are you here. Many times it was trying to communicate with broken languages and a bunch of hand gestures trying to point me to the nearest bathroom. But nonetheless, it was an effort to understand. No, not everybody likes plane rides or sleeping in a non-heated room. No running water and no available toilet paper isn't exactly ideal. But personally, I love the dangerous hikes, and I did not mind the cockroaches running under my bed at night. Not many people can say that they've had to escape from a hurricane. To me, that's the best part. I've adapted and learned how to live in different environments. And I'm not afraid anymore or intimidated by anything that comes my way. I know that I can overcome it. Even just strolling through the village and talking to the people of the town over a cup of tea is exciting for me. I've had some of the smallest interactions that have made the biggest impacts on my life. To be honest, I have had some of the absolute worst adventures when I was abroad, but I've also had some of the best ones. All of which were memorable and have taught me universal secrets that I will use and carry, whether it's helping myself or others. Whether it's throwing up on a mule hiking the deepest canyon of the world, or ziplining through the jungles of Guatemala, these exclusive experiences have helped me overcome my personal weaknesses and have molded me into the person I am today. I've learned to open my eyes to diversity and appreciate the things that I don't understand. I don't see a new place as simply a destination. I see it as an experience, as a new perspective. That is why I am paying tribute to traveling, because the one thing that keeps me going is where I'm going next.
Good morning, library. Today, I'm not talking about any special person that has made an impact in my life. I'm not talking about my friends. I'm not going to be talking about my family or my teachers. Instead, I'm going to be talking about a place that will always have a special place in my heart. Throughout my entire life, my family has lived in 3 different countries: the Philippines, Ireland in Dublin, and here, the US. I know all of us would agree that wherever life may take us, there is always that one place that we would always long for and would want to go back to, an escape. It is a place that, no matter how long you haven't stayed there, when you go back there, it's like you never left. To me, it is my childhood home. What is so special about that place? Honestly, like physically, it's not a place to be proud of. I think my brother would agree with that. It only has 3 tiny bedrooms. It is always hot every time. And I know the Philippines is supposed to be hot, but that place is like 100 times hotter than it's supposed to be. And it also floods every time it rains. But despite all of that, that, that house is the house that protected my family from 10 typhoons or even more, and 4 earthquakes or even more, because it's the tropics. 4 of those earthquakes were deadly. But right now, that house remains standing without even a single crack on its walls. Before, I didn't think much of it. But right now, I realize how strong the foundation of that house is. That strong foundation has helped build the strong foundation of what I am right now. That house witnessed so many important events in my life. It witnessed my first steps. It heard the first words that I spoke. It witnessed me make my first mistakes and learn from those mistakes. It witnessed all the fights, all the tears, and all the laughters. It witnessed my grandmother take her last breath in my brother's room. It witnessed when my brother shaved my eyebrows when I was 3 years old. It witnessed all the fiestas, the birthdays, all the Christmases that united all the people that I care about in a single roof. It had the privilege to meet all the people that have helped mold me into the person that I am right now. It met all my family members, both living and both who are no longer with us right now, that have helped raise me. It got a chance to know my friends who have turned into family and have taught me so much about life. But right now, that house has become one of those old, sad, and abandoned houses. It has been like that for 2 years now. But knowing that I will always have that place to go back to gives me comfort. Leaving is a reality of life. We leave places, we abandon old beliefs, we leave our comfort zone. But all these changes are necessary for us to learn and grow. As one quote by Oliver Wendell Holmes says, "Where we love is home, home that our feet may leave, but not our hearts." I will always carry with me everything that I learned in my childhood home, and I will always be grateful for for having that house as the backdrop of the early chapters of my life. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. All right, so I'm going to talk to you today. I'm going to talk to you today about a person that you probably don't know. Soto, you might know him because he was at STAG. Brandon Lewis. He was the theater director at STAG from 2001 to 2016. Now, he's not dead. I know that's what you might have been thinking. He just lost his job. He was more than just a theater director, though. He was a leader, a mentor, and a friend, almost bordering on family, to thousands of kids during his tenure at STAG. If he taught me one thing, it was to be resilient, because you're always better than you think you are. He was respected by the faculty and staff that he worked with, and he led numerous clubs and activities, including drama club, cinema club, the marching band. He was in charge of the speech team. I know Mr. Jones would appreciate that. And he did the sound for the assemblies. But he was also a full-time dad and husband, which is a job too. He took his work seriously, but he also tried to make it very fun. He trusted us to finish the tasks that he assigned us, and he was always there if we needed help. I was in 15 plays when I was in drama club at STAG, and I couldn't imagine doing even one of those plays without him. So I have to compliment the kids who just finished up their spring musical this year without him there to help. They finished the play on Sunday night, and they got his letter of resignation when they finished taking down the set. And as the youth do, they took to Twitter to voice their displeasure. So, putting this in perspective, they knew about it at 10:30 on Sunday night, and I knew about it at 7:30 the next morning. We were all outraged because it was like the district had taken away one of our family members. Everybody loved Mr. Lewis, and he was nothing but resilient. So I hope he will never stop living by his own motto of take the stage, leave a legacy. 2016 might have been his last year at Stag Drama, but it will never be his final blackout. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, guys. So I'm sure most of you here have a best friend or a group of close friends, but I'm sure not many of you have lost your best friend. I'm sure there's a few exceptions. But 2 years ago, I lost my best friend to brain cancer. And this woman I'm speaking of is my grandmother. And instead of dwelling on the sadness of her being gone, I'm going to focus on the good and the positive that came from my wonderful and beautiful grandmother, Moraine Kelly. Getting right into it, my grandma was a quiet, determined child who grew up on the south side of Chicago. She lived with her 6 siblings, her own parents, grandparents, and 2 aunts. Her and her family were very welcoming and open to everybody in the neighborhood, which carried on throughout her lifetime, without a doubt. She had a very tight circle of friends growing up, which lasted into adulthood, and was notorious for making lifelong friendships at work, the tennis court, and just anywhere. I believe some of these traits have definitely been passed on to me because I have a close circle of friends as well that I respect and love just as she would with her friends. She had a knack for getting to know people quite easily and making them very comfortable, content, and happy. She never judged her friends' words or actions. She was a super listener, a loyal friend, and someone you told your secrets to. Now, being all these things and more isn't even the half of it. She was quite the competitor as well. She definitely developed guts and determination growing up as a child because she had 4 brothers. Toughness was no issue to her. She later became an avid runner and participated in multiple marathons and triathlons, but she absolutely loved tennis. That was the love of her life, besides her children, husband, and grandchildren, of course. She was always encouraging athletic careers on my aunts, uncles, my mom, and myself. I was the only grandchild for 10 years, so she kind of considered me her 5th child. I've gotten my competitive drive from her, and she's always pushed me to do my best in my Irish dancing career. Every practice I do and every competition I do is dedicated to her. She's taught me that if you're going to compete, you might as well win, but to not have any enemies off the stage and always be humble. I could go on and on forever about all the things my grandma has instilled in me, but there's one last thing I'd like to mention, which is our Irish heritage. My grandma's favorite aspect about herself was that she was Irish, and she made sure we all knew how to celebrate the right way. She's always singing Irish songs to me as I grew up, and she was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and we always celebrated at the Southside Irish Parade each year. Although my grandmother wasn't there this year to see me walk in the parade as queen, I know she would be right by my side and very proud, as she would be of anything else. Finally, I've learned more from my grandma than I can even imagine, being a hard worker, appreciative, loyal, and kind. But there's one thing that I will always remember, and I want you guys to take away from this, is that to expect nothing and always appreciate everything. And that's it. Thank you.
believe that is everybody. I just again want to thank Dr. Troy Swanson, who helped to set this up in the library. And this is an honors class, so you expect a little bit more than usual, but I am really, really impressed with this class and how you guys presented the speech. We saw some things in these speeches that we didn't even talk about in class: alliteration, repetition, dealing with language, the emotional connections, and all the things that you need for a good tribute speech. So I'm very proud of you guys. I'm glad we were able to get this thing and work it out. And I was going to end it with a song, and from the album, The Delwyn Love Experience. But I'm going to give you my graduation speech that I gave back in 1947. And it talked about garbage cans. But it gave a lot of memories about garbage cans and how the grass grew and people wore dresses when they didn't have to when it was sunny outside. And the sky was looking like it was about to rain, but everybody was wearing shoes that didn't fit their feet. Why would you wear your hair that way when your pen doesn't even write and has no ink in it? Your shoes are too small. You go to the library to try to learn, and then you realize that you are an artist, and you decide that you want to draw, and your ears can hear everything that someone is talking about, but after class, you come back, and then you see in yourself that you are great, that you are somebody that is going to do great things. But your shirt is too small, and then your buttons are not working the way they're supposed to. And then you look around, and then your mom has left you sitting there at Target when you cannot find anything that is going to go around your neck for a tie. But as a female, you don't want to wear a tie. You want to make sure that your hair is looking right, and then you sit in a chair, and then you come back home to your daddy, who tells you that you need to be a boxer and that you are not an artist. So you look at the life and you say to yourself, I am great. I am me. I would do great things. Thank you, 1947 class. That was my speech. Thanks again, Troy.